Welcome to A Mad Tea Party, written by Ruth Giordano and performed by VCS 2023 Radio. This performance is brought to you by Crazy Cookies and Time to Take in Gold Pocket Watches. But before we begin, let's hear a quick word from one of our sponsors. Are you sick and tired of always being the same size?
Yes, this is so boring.
Well, look no further than the Crazy Cookie, the world's first ever size-changing cookie.
Size changing?
Why, yes indeed. With only one bite, you will change sizes faster than you can say, "What a wild wonderland."
Wow, that's incredible. Can I try?
Please do.
Holy cow, look how small she is. That's just crazy.
Try our cookies today. Size may not change as quickly as shown. Message and data rates may apply. Thank you for your time. When our story begins, Alice has already been through so very many curious adventures.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Ever since she suddenly found herself falling helplessly down, down, down a very deep rabbit hole into a strange world.
Dear, how queer everything is today.
A world filled with the most eccentric creatures. A singing white rabbit with the waistcoat pocket watch.
How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile in every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin and neatly spreads his claws and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws.
A nasty-tempered old duchess who shook her baby so violently it turned into a pig. A hookah-smoking caterpillar who demanded to know of Alice.
Who are you?
I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself!
I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, because I'm not myself, you see.
I don't see.
I'm afraid I can't put it more clearly, for I can't understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It isn't.
Well, perhaps you haven't found it so yet, but when you turn into a chrysalis, you will someday. And then after that into a butterfly. I should think you'll feel a little queer, won't you?
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings may be different. All I know is, it would feel very queer to me.
You! Who are you?
I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why?
Here was another puzzling question, and as Alice could not think of any good reason, and as the caterpillar seemed to be in a very unpleasant state of mind, she turned away.
Come back! Have something important to say.
Yes? Well,
Keep your temper.
is that all?
No. So, you think you're changed, do you?
I'm afraid I am, sir. I can't remember things I used, and I don't sleep the same size for 10 minutes together.
Can't remember what things?
Well, I've tried to say, how doth the little busy bee? But it all came different.
Recite your old, Father William.
You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white, yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right?
In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I fear it may injure the brain, but now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why I do it again and again.
You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. You finished the goose with the bone in the beak, but how did you manage to do it?
In my youth, said his father, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to my jaw had lasted for the rest of my life.
You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fast.
That is not said right.
Not quite right, I'm afraid. Some of the words have got altered.
It is wrong from beginning to end. What size do you want to be?
Oh, I'm not particular as to size. Only doesn't like changing so often, you know.
I don't know. Are you content now?
Well, I should like to be a little larger, sir, if you wouldn't mind. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be.
It is a good height indeed.
But I'm not used to it.
You'll get used to it in time.
Alice left the caterpillar, confused as ever, and, wondering what could possibly happen next, Alice now found herself walking through a wood. When she was a little startled by seeing the Cheshire Cat sitting on a bough of a tree a few yards off, the cat only grinned when it saw Alice. It had a great many teeth and very sharp claws, so she felt that it ought to be treated with respect.
Cheshire Puss, would you tell me, please, which way ought to go from here?
That depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
I don't care much where,
Then it doesn't matter which way you go.
so long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you're sure to do that if you only walk long enough.
Alice felt that this could not be denied, so she tried another question.
What sort of people live about here?
In that direction lives a hatter, and in that direction lives a March hare. Visit either you like. They're both mad.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad.
How do you know that I'm mad?
You must be, or you wouldn't have come here.
And how do you know that you're mad?
To begin with, a dog's not mad. You grant that?
I suppose so.
Well then, you see, a dog growls when it's angry, or wags its tail when it's pleased. Now I growl when I'm pleased, and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad.
With that, the cat vanished quite slowly, beginning with the end of the tail and ending with the grin, which remained some time after the rest of it had gone.
Well, I've often seen a cat without a grin, but a grin without a cat. It's the most curious thing I ever saw in my life.
Alice waited a little, half expecting to see it again, but it did not appear, and so she walked on in the direction in which the March hare was said to live.
I've seen hatters before. The March hare will be much the most interesting. And perhaps as this is made, it won't be raving mad. At least, not so mad as it was in March.
She had not gone much farther before she came in sight of the house of the March hare. She thought it must be the right house because the chimneys were shaped like ears and the roof was thatched with fur. It was quite large and formidable, and she walked up towards it rather timidly, saying to herself,
Suppose it should be raving mad after all. I almost wish I'd gone to see the hatter instead.
There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March hare and the hatter were having a tea at it. We would like to interrupt this performance for a quick word from another one of our sponsors.
Do your daily accessories need some sprucing up? Then you need the latest edition of the Time's a Ticking Gold Pocket Watch.
No matter the day or time, you'll get super precise results.
And if gold is in your style, it also comes in silver and rose gold.
That's exactly right. The best part is, for a limited time only, all Time's a Ticking watches in our store are 30% off.
30% off?
Wow, that's a great deal.
Certainly, especially for such high-quality watches.
Now, just wait a minute. These are lies, I tell you. Lies.
What do you mean by that?
High quality? Oh, please. Mine broke in only a day.
That's because you dipped it in tea and greased it with butter.
Well, a good watch would be able to survive that. But you wouldn't know what a good watch is, would you?
That's it. Someone get this hatter off the stage.
All right, I'm sorry. Hands off the hats!
Thank you. Now where was I?
You were about to say that people should buy our pocket watch.
And that the people watching should not, under any circumstances, listen to the hatter.
Oh yes, come and get your very own Time's a Ticking pocket watch today. The hatter has no idea what he's talking about. Butter and tea will damage the watch. We have a strict no-return policy, and we reserve the right to refuse service to all hatters. That's all, and thank you for your time.
The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all its might. It did its very best to make the billows smooth and bright.
Excuse me.
And this was odd because it was the middle of the night.
A dormouse was sitting between them, fast asleep, and the other two were using it as a cushion, resting their elbows on it and then talking over its head.
Very uncomfortable for the dormouse. Only, as it's asleep, I suppose it doesn't mind.
The table was a large one, but the three were all crowded together at one corner of it.
The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had no business to be there after the day was done.
It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun.
Excuse me.
The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky.
No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly.
Please!
No room, no room!
There's plenty of room.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's late for a great many more than 3.
No room, no room.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Come, we should have some fun now. I'm glad they've begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that.
Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know?
Not the same thing a bit. You might as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might just as well say that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like.
You might just as well say as I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
It is the same thing with you. What day of the month is it?
The Hatter had taken his watch out of his pocket and was looking at it uneasily, shaking it every now and then and holding it to his ear. Alice considered a little and then said,
The 4th.
2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
It was the best butter.
Yes, but some crumbs must have gotten to it as well. You shouldn't have put it in with a bread knife.
The March Hare took the watch and looked at it gloomily. Then he dipped it into his cup of tea and looked at it again, but he could think of nothing better to say than his first remark.
It was the best butter, you know?
Alice had been looking over his shoulder with some curiosity.
What a funny watch. It tells the day of the month, but doesn't tell what o'clock it is.
Why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Of course not. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together.
Which is just the case with mine.
Alice felt dreadfully puzzled. The Hatter's remark seemed to have no sort of meaning in it, and yet it was certainly English.
I don't quite understand you.
The dormouse is asleep again,
said the Hatter, and he poured a little hot tea upon its nose.
Of course. That's just what I was going to remark myself.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give up. What's the answer?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Nor I.
I think you might do something better with the time than waste it in asking riddles that have no answers.
Well, if you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you've never spoken to time.
Perhaps not. But I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
That accounts for it. He won't stand beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do anything you liked with the clock. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lessons. You'd only have to whisper a hint to time, and around goes the clock in twinkling. 1:30, time for dinner!
I only wish it was.
That would be grand, certainly. But then, I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know?
Not at first, perhaps, but you would keep it 1:30 for as long as you'd like.
Is that the way you manage?
Not I. We quarreled last March, just before the hare went mad. You know, it was a great concert given by the Queen of Hearts. I had to sing. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. You know the song, perhaps?
I've heard something like it.
And it goes on, you know, in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle.
Here the dormouse shook itself and began singing in its sleep.
Twinkle, 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 twinkle,
and went on so long that they had to pinch it to make it stop.
Twinkle. Ah!
Well, I hardly finished the first verse when the queen jumped and bawled out, "He's murdering the time! Off with his head!"
How dreadfully savage!
And ever since that, he won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now.
A bright idea came into Alice's head.
Is that the reason so many tea things are put out here?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time, and we've got no time to wash things between whiles.
Then you keep moving round, I suppose.
Exactly so, as things get used up.
But what happens when you come to the beginning again?
Suppose we change the subject? I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tells us a story.
I'm afraid I don't know one.
The Dormouse Show!
Wake up, Dormouse.
And they pinched it on both sides at once.
Well, I wasn't asleep. I heard every word you fellas were saying.
Tell us a story.
Yes, please do.
And be quick about it, or you'll be asleep again before it's done.
Okay. Well, once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters. Their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well.
What did they live on?
They lived on pudding.
They couldn't have done that, you know. They'd have been ill.
So they were, very ill.
Alice tried to fancy to herself what such an extraordinary way of living would be like, but it puzzled her too much.
But why did they live at the bottom of a well?
Take some more tea.
I've had nothing yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more than nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion!
Who's making personal remarks now?
Alice did not quite know what to say to this, so she helped herself to some tea and bread and butter, and then turned to the Dormouse and repeated her question.
Why did they live at the bottom of a well?
The Dormouse again took a minute or two to think about it.
It was a pudding well.
There's no such thing!
Well, if you can't be civil, you better just finish the story for yourself.
No, please go on. I won't interrupt again. I dare say there may be one.
One indeed. And so, these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, you know.
What did they draw?
Pudding.
I want a clean cup. Let's all move one place on.
He moved as he spoke, and the Dormouse followed him. The March Hare moved into the Dormouse's place, and Alice, rather unwillingly, moved into the place of the March Hare. The Hatter was the only one who got any advantage from the change, and Alice was a good deal worse off than before, as the March Hare had just upset the milk jug into his plate. Alice did not wish to offend the Dormouse again, so she began very cautiously.
But I don't understand. Where did you draw the treacle from?
Well, you can draw a treacle out of a treacle well. I believe you can draw water out of a water well, so treacle would be the same thing.
But they were in the well.
Of course they were. Well in.
This answer so confused poor Alice that she let the Dormouse go on for quite some time without interrupting it.
Well, they were learning to draw, and they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M.
Why with an M?
Why not?
Alice was silent. The Dormouse had closed its eyes by this time and was going off into a doze, but on being pinched by the Hatter, it woke up again with a little shriek and went on.
That began with an M, such as mousetraps, and moon, and memory, and muchness. And you know, you say things are much of a muchness. Did you ever see such a thing as the drawing of a muchness?
Really? Now you ask me. I don't think...
Then you shouldn't talk. This piece of rudeness was more than Alice could bear. She got up in great disgust and walked off. The Dormouse fell asleep instantly, and neither of the others took the least notice of her going, though she looked back once or twice, half hoping they would call after her. The last time she saw them, they were trying to put the Dormouse into the teapot.
At any rate, I'll never go there again,
said Alice as she picked her way through the wood.
That's the stupidest tea party I ever was at in all my life.
Just as she said this, she noticed that one of the trees had a door leading right into it.
That's very curious. But everything's curious today. I think I may as well go in at once.
And in she went.
Get in front of me. Get in front of me.
All right, people. 1 minute till we're on air. Let's go.
Thank you, Juan.
Where's Olive? She's supposed to be the lady diner for the commercial. Where's Olive? What? Where is she? Oh, she called it sick. Well, then find someone to replace her. That's her job.
Why do I have to play the mom? I want to play the dad.
It's your own fault, Luke. You lost the bet to Gio.
Hey guys,
stop doing bets with
my
people.
script is gone. Where is it?
You're holding it.
Oh, I'm so dumb.
Do you mind being
Okay.
lady diner? Okay, fine. It'll work. Where are my headphones? Where are they?
Table.
Who put them here?
I did.
Fine. We don't have time for this. We have 10 seconds till we're on air, people. Let's move. Come on. Get to them. Let's go. Wait. All right, people. On air in 3, 2, 1. Thank you for tuning in to Studio 18 Radio 1.70 and in your dial. Coming up next, Stone Soup, a radio play by Ruth Giordano. But first, an important word from one of our fine sponsors, Aunt Lottie's Leftover Cafe by Donald A. Reesener Jr.
Hey, hon, kids, it's Friday night. I was thinking, how about I treat the whole family to dinner out?
Oh, that sounds wonderful, dear. I could use a night off of the kitchen.
Yay! I love eating out. Me too. Thanks, Dad.
So where should we go, hon?
Let me think for a moment.
How about the Burger Barn?
Well, I was thinking of something a little more formal. Not fancy, mind you, but somewhere can be waited and not have to order from the counter.
I say, we go to Lettuce Land.
Oh my God! Ugh. Of course you would say that. Dad, don't make me go to a salad place, please.
That's enough. If you're going to be able to just have to stay at home and have frozen.
That's it. I know the perfect place to go. Let's go to the Leftover Cafe.
Yay!
That's perfect, dear.
Last one in the car is a rotten egg.
I'm faster than you!
This family knows. For a great evening out, there's no place like Aunt Lottie's Leftover Cafe, located on Historic Highway 178, right next to the local hazardous waste disposal site. The Leftover Cafe is truly a unique dining experience. There are no printed menus, but our courteous and professional staff will help guide you in your dining choices. The Leftover Cafe features cuisine from some of the finest dining establishments in the area, served piping hot on our trademark Melmac dinner plates. Aunt Lottie's chefs are highly trained. They are experts in combing the neighborhood to find the finest culinary fare for your dining pleasure.
Hey, Joe, smell this.
Chicken marsala.
I think we just found our new Friday special.
Yeah, give me a minute to box it all up.
Hey, I told you guys to stop hanging around the back of the store. About beat it or I'll call the cops.
We all know that good food always tastes better the next day. And at the Leftover Cafe, that's all we serve. Our staff is so committed to providing your family with the highest quality in restaurant fare that they will exhaust every option, no matter how unconventional, to bring you fancy food at affordable prices.
Hey, lady, are you gonna finish that?
Well, I was going to finish it, but I...
Nah, you don't want to eat all that. You want to get all fat like my Aunt Bertha? Here, let me scrape some of that off your plate.
Wait.
well,
Hey,
now,
you!
I
I
don't
told
think
you
you
to get out of here now. Scram and don't come back.
Why not visit the Leftover Cafe this weekend? You'll be glad you did. And don't forget our week-old leftover specials. They're perfect for entertaining those out-of-town relatives who just happen to drop by.
Hey, Dad, what did you get?
I don't know, something with noodles, but it sure tastes great.
Aunt Lottie's Leftover Cafe on Highway 178. Truly a unique dining experience. Now playing Stone Soup, a radio play by Ruth Giordano.
3 soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were trying to get home from the wars. And besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they'd eaten nothing for 2 whole days.
Oh, how I would like a good dinner tonight.
And a bed to sleep in.
But all that is impossible. We must march on.
On they marched, but suddenly, ahead of them, they saw the lights of a village.
Maybe we will find a bite to eat there.
And a loft to sleep in.
No harm in asking.
Now the peasants of this place were afraid of strangers, and when they heard that 3 soldiers were coming down the road, they talked among themselves.
Look! Soldiers! Ha! Soldiers are always hungry.
And we have little enough for ourselves.
Yeah.
The people hurried to hide their food.
Sacks of grain we hid under the hay in the haylofts. Buckets of milk down the wells.
We spread our quilts over the bins of the root vegetables.
Cabbages and potatoes under the beds. Meat in the cellars.
We hid all of our food.
Then we waited.
Good evening, good people.
Could you spare a bit of food?
For 3 hungry soldiers?
Oh, we have had no food for ourselves for 3 whole days.
It's been a very poor harvest this year.
Yeah.
Have you somewhere we might sleep for one night?
Oh, no.
Our beds are full.
Yeah.
The soldiers went from door to door. Not one family had a morsel to give away. It had been a very poor harvest this year, and all the grain must be kept for seed or feed for the livestock. And one family even had a sick father to care for. All had too many mouths to feed.
Good people.
What's going on? They're gonna kill us.
We are 3 hungry soldiers in a strange land. We have asked you for food and you say you haven't enough food to share.
It seems that all you have too much of is stones.
So the only thing to do is...
To make...
Stone soup.
You can't make soup from stones.
We can show you how.
First, we need a large pot.
The biggest you can find.
I know where to find one.
That's none too large.
But it will have to do.
Now we need water to fill it and a fire to heat it.
It took many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square, and the pot was set to boil.
And now, if you please, 3 rounds of smooth stones.
Those were easy enough to find. The peasants' eyes grew round as they watched the stones plop into the pot. The soldiers began to stir.
Any soup needs salt and pepper.
I know where to get some.
Stones like these generally make a good soup.
But oh, if there were carrots, it would be much better.
I might have an old carrot or 2.
She came right back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath her red quilt.
A good stone soup should have cabbage.
But there's no use asking for what you don't have.
Oh, I think I could find a cabbage somewhere.
Back she came with 3 cabbages from under her bed.
Now if we only had but no.
What if we only had...
What do we need?
What?
No, it's no use. That's just not possible.
What? Tell us.
I need to know.
Well, we were just thinking.
What?
Well, if we only had a bit of beef.
And a few potatoes.
And a little barley.
And just a cup of milk, this soup would be
good enough for a rich man's table.
In fact, the king requested just such a soup when he last dined with us.
Potatoes.
Beef!
Barley.
Milk! The soldiers had entertained the king. A rich man's soup, all from a few stones.
It must be magic!
Witchcraft. The peasants brought their barley from the lofts. They brought their buckets of milk up from the wells. And the soldiers stirred the barley and milk into the steaming broth while the peasants stared wide-eyed. And at last, the soup was ready.
Huzzah! Yay!
All you shall taste, there's enough for everyone.
But first, a table must be set.
Great tables were placed in the square, and all around were lighted torches.
Such a soup. How good it smells.
Truly fit for a king.
With such a soup, we need some bread. And a roast!
And cider.
Soon a banquet was spread, and everyone sat down to eat. Never had there been such a feast, and never had the peasants tasted such a soup.
And what do you think? Made from stones?
They ate and drank and drank and ate, and they danced far into the night. At last, they were tired.
Is there not a loft where we could sleep?
Let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a hayloft? Yeah!
We must have the best beds in the village.
So the first soldier slept.
In the priest's house.
And the second soldier slept.
At the baker's house.
And the third soldier slept.
At the mayor's house.
And in the morning, the whole village gathered in a square to give them a send-off.
Many thanks for what you have taught us. We shall never go hungry now.
Now that we know how to make soup from stones?
Oh, it's all in knowing how.
And off they went down the road.
Such men don't grow on every bush. Through sharing, we all become richer.
Do you find yourself too calm? Is your life not filled with enough existential dread?
Well, thanks to new technologies, you can now lose control of your life with Anti. Anti is a medical malpractice approved to bring you massive amounts of anxiety about everything, from your family to your social life to simply driving to the mall.
Personally, I haven't felt calm in days. I don't get sleep, I don't have time for food, and oh God!
I hate public speaking. 1 out of 35 doctors recommended Anti.
This is not safe for human consumption.
Someone get him out of here? Thank you. Side effects of Anti may include anxiety, more anxiety, swelling, craving broccoli, muscle pain, itchiness, aversion to wearing hats, chronic pain, blurred vision, becoming allergic to yourself, vomiting, increased fear of Jeff Bezos, cancer, death, or even drowning.
If you think Anti is right for you, don't ask your doctor. Go ask your second cousin's pet dog. They'll tell you what to do. Anti. Oh, wait. Anti, only available in that one alleyway between the hazardous waste disposal site and Pizza Hut.
Anti
takes the less out of stress. It also causes hallucinations. Hello? We're not done yet. Hello? This ain't funny. Come back out? Hello? Anyone?
I want my mommy.